Greetings, male individuals between the ages of 25 and 34 years old. This is Jordan AJ from the Warhammer Enjoyers, and we're going to cover the Space Wolf leaks today. AJ, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How you
I'm
doing?
doing great. And before we get going, I just want to clarify to everyone, all the art used here today is credited in the YouTube sticky comment. We do have a little bibliography at the end of this presentation. So we're just going to jump right into this. These were all ripped off of Reddit. The army rules are pretty simple. They got the basic Oath of Ulment. They have the Curse of the Wolfen. And while any units are within 6 inches of one or more friendly Space Wolves character models, excluding Wolfen models, are within 12 inches of one or more friendly Wolf Priest. If it's not Battle Shock, add 1 to the OC of an infantry models in it, and add 3 to OC vehicle models in it. And then the Space Wolves come with 3 sagas. I think the extra OC is kind of interesting. Is it dare? Is it okay to say lackluster? What do you think, AJ? I
I
just
think like extra OC is kind of nice for some units because some of the infantry, only ever has one like OC, and if you're trying to really push, it's nice.
Oh yeah, I guess I'm a dumbass. It's infantry model, so a 20-man brick is, or a 10-man's 10 extra OC, and Bjorn, who made it in, is an additional like right.
Yeah,
Are dreadnoughts considered vehicles? Are they walkers?
dreadnoughts are considered vehicles.
I do play this game, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not a complete dumbass.
Oh,
Um,
don't worry, I'll cover for you
I'm gonna have
as we go into
AJ
this part.
the to explain this flavor because I'm a Death Guard player and we don't have convoluted bullshit like this. AJ, do you want to explain what the fuck this actually means?
Okay, so to everybody who doesn't know what a Space Marine is, which is I don't know how you don't know what a Space Marine is if you play this hobby. Basically, this is just saying to you, hey, if you're playing Space Wolves, you are only playing Space Wolf stuff. So that is no Great Knights, that is no Blood Angels, that is no Black Templars, that is no
But you can
anything that's
still
not
run
Space Wolf.
like you can still bring like Hell Blasters because they have the Adeptus Astartes keyword, right?
Correct. They're the generic models like Hellblasters, Repulsors, stuff like that. Can be run into these lists, but more specific stuff like the Sanguinary Guard or the Inner Circle Companions, Deathwing Terminators
Okay,
cannot be run into this list, or at least not as that.
gotcha.
Or more specifically, certain characters can't be run
Okay,
as in this thing. So again, you can't throw Azrael into here, you can't throw Dante in
yeah,
here and
that
be
makes
like,
sense. That makes okay.
yeah.
There's some designer notes for some successor chapters, and I'm actually gonna go pink. Go check out actually the Space Wolves subreddit. They have what are they called? Detail transfers. What are they called? Water transfers.
Yeah, water transfer.
They have water
Water
transfers
transfer.
for all like the successor chapters. So if you really like Space Wolves and find a successor chapter that you like, they have all of those for that. We'll just jump right into the first sagas. They have 3 detachments, 3 sagas. The first one is the Saga of the Hunter. Each time a model in a Space Wolf unit from your army makes a melee attack that targets an enemy unit. If that unit is within engagement range of 1 or more other Adeptus Astartes units from your army, or if the attacking unit contains more models than the enemy unit, add 1 to the hit roll. And if the saga is completed, add 1 to the wound roll. And as you'll see later on, there's a lot of just melee. This is a very melee heavy army. A lot of melee
Yeah.
synergy. And you're probably asking, well, how do you complete the saga of the hunter? From the start of the first battle round, you have a quarry tally, and that's set to 0. And each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army fights, after all those attacks have been resolved, you add 1 to your quarry tally for each enemy unit destroyed by those attacks, which is pretty sick. And then once your quarry tally is equal to or greater than the number shown in the table below, your saga is completed. You need to have a 2 quarry tally for incursions, 3 for strike force, and 4 for onslaught. So if you snipe some vehicles, you get your quarry ship pretty quickly. Um, it's fun. It's thematic. What more could you want? I think having +1 to hit and then 1 to wound for like the entire rest of the game for your whole army is pretty sick. What do you
Yeah, no,
think,
this is
AJ? That's
definitely
that's
like
fucking
no, I
nuts,
think this is
bro.
definitely like, great for if you want to play aggressive. I mean, how this whole like we'll go into this as like the whole as we go over this, but the whole Space Wolves is just like what I feel like world leaders should kind of lean more into more like, hey, we hit a lot better, we wound a lot better, and we move a lot faster.
Yeah. No, this is a sick saga. Some of the enhancements, just like to note, um, Swift Hunter giving a whole unit Scout 7, kind of nasty. The Fenrisian Grit, it's only for Adeptus to Astartes models, but I think those count as Space Wolves, right? Or is it vice versa? Or are they still like their
Uh,
own thing?
yeah, I think it. No, I think it is just like, with like you can have Wolfen if you want to have Wolfen, but otherwise, I think
Okay.
that's just like,
Um,
yeah.
the bear has 4 up feel no pain, makes good protection against precision attacks. For Wolfmaster Space Wolves models only, you pick a friendly Space Wolves units within 9 inch of the bearer, and until the next command phase, Teeth Claws and Fenrir weapons in that unit have lethal hits, which synergizes with a lot of units. Um, well, specific units. And then Feral Rage, Adeptus Astartes models only, one adding attacks to the melee weapons equipped by the bearer. And then each time the bearer charges, and until the end of the turn, you add 1 to the attacks for that bearer. Um, just solid enhancements, fun stuff to take. And then for some stratagems to note, Envelop and Snare, the 6 inch pylon, Death Guard's got this, a couple other factions got this. Pretty standard pylon stuff. Overwhelming Onslaught is essentially just hit the ground, -1 to hit. Um, choose prey or chosen prey, shoot and charge with fallback. Pretty much standard stuff. And then bounding advance. What the fuck is this? You just get to move through units. Until the end of your phase, each time a model in your unit makes a normal advance or fall back, or a charge move, it can just move through models, excluding Titanic. When doing so, it can move within engagement range of enemy models, but unless it's making a charge move, it cannot move within engagement range of them. So you could just move through
Sure, just
enemy
move through.
models.
You can move through enemy models.
you can just move through enemy. That is so fucking goofy.
Hey, if you want to get to the objective first and you're like tailing
Like,
somebody,
actually
boom.
just get the fuck on something. That is such like I was the Monster Saga, I believe, has this. These are pretty fun fucking. I mean, well, most of them are pretty standard, just shit. But Bounding Advance, that's fucking goofy. I like that. Anything to say,
Yeah.
AJ?
No, I mean like I definitely think bounding advance is just a goofy little fun like stratagem that I think people will have fun like if they can use it for. I'm not sure how often people are going to be using it for, but I do think it's got to be fun if you can. Overwhelming onslaught -1 to hit. That's pretty standard. And yeah, chosen prey also pretty standard.
It's gonna be interesting because you can't end an engagement range when you make the charge move, but you can when you make the normal advance and fallback move. Does that just mean you're in combat automatically?
I think so. Or at least like that's how I'm interpreting it as.
That's kind of you can just walk in, guaranteed charges. Sick.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The next saga is going to be Saga of the Bold. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army is selected to shoot or fight, pick one of the following when resolving the attacks. Adeptus Astartes units, if the saga is completed, get to reroll 1 hit roll, 1 wound roll, and 1 damage roll. Space Wolf characters get to the unit reroll 1 hit, 1 wound, or damage roll. How do you complete this saga? You got to complete 3 separate boasts. Um, there are a couple of them. Your hide is a trophy. You kill your Oath of Moment target. Slay them all. That same model kills 2 Oath of Moments. Overrun unit wholly within the opponent's zone. And then hold the line. Just controlling objectives that's in no man's land, which is kind of like pretty just like normal stuff that you're gonna play, like you're gonna do during the game. So it's good synergy. Like you're not doing any weird shit. And the thing I want to hop in, we're just gonna glaze over this because if you go to the enhancements, if you look to the Scald one, you just get a CP gain on boast completion. So you're just generating CP, just infinitely. I mean, obviously there's that you can only generate what a maximum of one additional command point per turn or whatever. Like, because I originally thought, um, because if you read the Scald one, Adeptus Astartes model only, each time a Space Wolves character unit from your army achieves a boast, if the bear is on the battlefield, you gain 1 CP. So you just have 5 units go in the objective point for hold the line, you just get 5 CP, but you can't do that. But like, just shit ton of CP generation from Skjald. Um, Bargrot Steel, you get a +2 to the strength character weapon of the God, if I could speak. You get +2 to the strength to the model if it has a boast, you get 1 damage, which just stacks. A lot of these damages, a lot of these weapons have like 5 or 8 strength, so you're really bumping it. Extra damage is great. And then Thunderwolf Fortitude, you die, get up on a 2-up. AJ, what do you think about these enhancements?
I like the coming up on a 2-up. I think that's actually gonna be really fun to use. And I think that's gonna be something that like is kind of used a lot. The CP or like the command point gain is pretty fun to use, and I think that might be like something that helps out a lot depending on when you are in your game. If you're struggling somehow using command points, or you just are struggling to get command points, that might be a good way to get command points.
Yeah, that's just huge. That's so much CP
Yeah, and
generation. Like
especially
that's
too,
just
like,
fucking crazy. Like just you just
yeah,
get a command put like you can just Overwatch, kill your oath moment. You've completed your hide as a trophy, and you're basically getting free Overwatches.
right,
Essentially,
right.
that's crazy. That is insane. Um, good stuff. Stratagems, Alpha Strike, charging. You could advance a charge, inspiring presence. Uh, give lethal shits to the whole unit. What the fuck?
Ain't that wild?
Champion's Guidance, you get unit rerolls for a phase, which is really nice. Birth of a Saga is interesting. You give all the models in that unit the character keyword.
Yeah, that makes sense for this attachment because
Like,
this
what
attachment
does
is all
that
about.
do? Like, what does that mean? Like, why would you want to do that?
Uh, See, okay, admittedly, I don't know. I can't think of like a reason why you would want to do that off the top of my head. But you might want to do that just so then, like, you can give like them like all leadership like tests, like improve their leadership
Mmm.
tests, or to like even give them something to lead.
True.
Hmm. But
Wow, that's
otherwise,
fucking. Oh, I was gonna say, heroic resolve is basically just disgusting and resilient for Space Wolves.
yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah.
But I mean, otherwise though, I like the idea of like charging when you advance, and I think giving lethals to a whole unit, is gonna be a lot of fun to have.
Yeah, these
Especially
are just
it
strong.
like again, like when you have that like tough enemy.
Yeah, and seeing countercharge and heroic resolve at 2 CP and you're constantly generating CP, like you're more inclined to take those 2 CP stratagems and not feel punished, which is a nice feeling. What were we just on? We are on to the last Saga of the Beast Slayer. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit makes an attack that targets a character, monster, or vehicle, or if your saga is completed, that attack has lethal hits. Well, how do you complete the saga? Well, we gotta do math. Bear with me. You take the number of monsters, characters, and vehicle units your opponent has, cut it in half, round up. That's your Beast Slayer target. You add 1 to your Beast score for each time you kill a monster, character, and a vehicle. As long as your score is equal or greater than the Beast Slayer target, your saga's done. So that's essentially just um, lethal hits for your entire fucking army. Uh,
Yeah, I was gonna say this detachment really is just focusing
well,
on like
this is
both of these
sorry.
from this top.
I guess targeting a character is different than targeting a squad. But having lethals against like monsters or vehicles, because I don't.
Big
Do all
helpful, big
demons have
helpful.
the most demon? No, most of the big demons have the monster keyword, right?
I believe so. Like I don't know about like certain units, like like chariots and all that, like stuff
Mm-hmm.
that's pulled. But I do know like the greater demons all do have that.
Yeah, I'm just pulling up Rodriguez really quick here. I can't even look at demons because of the detachment I'm in. Let's see here. Rodriguez keywords. Monster. Yeah, lethals on Rodriguez is pretty nasty.
Yeah, that's gonna definitely be helpful for especially something like Rodriguez there, where it's just like, you're already chipping away at him at best, so just to make sure that you can get all those like chips like in and
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
carve out chunks.
cause chip damage against demons is really gross. Cause there's only so many four up. Like AJ knows with his Dark Angels, you can only make so many 4-up saves.
Listen, agree to disagree. I can always make 4-up saves.
That's true. Enhancements, the two that kind of stuck out to me was Wolf Touch, +2 movement, and you can attach characters to Wolfen units. There's probably synergies that we are too small brain to figure out. Hunter's Glide redeploy shenanigans. Specifically, after both players have deployed your armies, you can select up to 3 Thunderwolf, Cavalry Wolfen, and/or Bloodclaw units from your armies and just redeploying. Um, and then you can go over your strategic reserve cap if you want. So we love redeploy shenanigans. No sarcasm there. Nothing really to talk about for the enhancements. Stratagems, Unbridled Ferocity. You just get a +1 to wound for an entire unit, which comboed with lethals is wait, doesn't even matter because lethals auto wound. I'm fucking stupid, dude. Um, Shock Cavalry is just bounding advance, so more moving through shit. Thunderous Bruise, shimmy yay, shimmy ya. Fa la la la. We love moving in our opponent's movement phase. That's pretty much it. It's just more movement to set up more charges to be more aggressive with those lethal hits. It's just good shit. That's all I gotta describe this stuff. Good shit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I will say though, I do actually really like the enhancement. I feel like this the redeploy shenanigan like enhancements there, the hunter's guide or whatever,
Mm,
is a bit interesting. I don't disagree with it. Like I think it still can be helpful, but redeploying can be kind of fickle to use. And this is coming from a guy who did have some warp talons and like
mm-hmm.
their redeployment was really fun because you could always just chip away at some health and
Oh,
then
well, that's because Warp Talons were fucking busted unreleased. Well, it wasn't though the Warp Talons were busted, it was that Renegade Raiders was busted, and then they nerfed the Warp Talons because Renegade Raiders was fucking stupid. But you could. I digress.
that's yeah, you digress, but I think it was awesome. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, I think the redeployment stuff is nice because, like, at least from a competitive scene, you're not going to be playing against your buddy 80 times. So if you bring a list and deploy and your opponent just kind of counter deploys you or puts shit on the or shows up with shit that's scary, you're kind of able to kind of move around that at
That's true. That's true. I can't argue with that point because, like, yeah, if you can redeploy your like stuff, especially when you're like, trying to figure out like, hey, if I don't do something with this, it's gonna get shut off the board because I just left myself open for everything.
yeah.
Then guess what? You can always just redeploy.
Onto actual units. AJ, if you wanna, AJ kind of put a lot of work, did most of the work on this. AJ, if you kind of wanna talk about some stuff, and I'll point things out when I see it.
Well, okay, first off, Logan Grimnar, which now I feel like it has to be said, probably the best looking chapter master of all the Space Marine stuff,
Bro's got
which
fucking
hurt,
drip, dude. Holy fuck, that's a dope ass model.
it hurts me because I have Azrael and like we had a debate with one of our local mutuals at our local game store here, and it was always the debate about whether or not Azrael or Manius Kelgar like had the better looking model for chapter master stuff. And now Logan Grimnar comes in, smashing through the wall, being like, "It's mine, bitch. It's my place," which hurts. It hurts my pride.
AJ, do you have a
But
vibrator going on in your background?
no, what the fuck?
Sounds like someone's revving their car. It's like,
That would be my laptop.
damn, your laptop's going turbo mode, bro. No, it
Okay,
looks like they
well,
haven't changed much on Logan, just more movement and
yeah, but that's gonna be the common thing throughout this whole thing, and we'll
yeah.
go over that more. That movement get a buff throughout the whole thing. I believe some of his abilities did change. So like the Great Wolf ability got like a slight change. So originally was each time a model destroy or each time this model, excuse me, each time this model destroys an enemy unit, you gain a command point. And then the new one, each time an opponent, I believe that says each time your opponent charges a unit from their army with a stratagem, it meant that it within 12 inches increases the value of that by one command point. So
Oh, so it
like
makes your opponent's
stratagems.
stratagems more. Damn, command point
Yeah.
reroll for 2 CP? Damn.
Yeah. So that's where the issue comes in for there. But again, otherwise, I'm pretty happy with how Logan Grimdark is right now, or
Oh,
how he's gonna be. I guess upon release. I think it's good. I think it's good for him. Okay. For now, Null Stormcaller. I literally said no more sneaky Room Priest because originally he gave everybody a stealth ability for one of his abilities there. He gave everybody the stealth keyword. He doesn't do that anymore. But Null also gets a slightly stronger with, I believe, his with his shooting, so that's always nice to have. And I mean, like some of his new abilities, again, also kind of fun and a little funky with it. Yeah, all his units now automatically like get advanced rolls. They all get 6-inch advanced rolls automatically,
what the
which I think,
fuck?
yeah,
Bro, for how do you say that? How do you say his name?
null
Dude, if they
and
don't make an advanced roll, they just get to move 13 inches.
yep,
What the fuck? That's nutty, bro. Bro just gets to fucking plug walk up the board. Holy shit.
yeah, no, huge win there. I feel like if you're running him, I think that's gonna be fun because again, one of his original abilities was just like the
Whoa.
Stormcaller. Yep, and that's all. You just got stealth.
Yeah, the Tempest Wrath, subtracting 6 from the range character. Oh, it's a minimum of 12, bro. That'd be crazy, bro. Imagine, like, just shutting down people's, like, bolters and shit. That'd be
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Solid ass
Then
unit.
oh, definitely. I think again, it's gonna be a lot of fun to run that guy with. Ulrich, I'm kind of indifferent on. So now he doesn't have the leadership buff that he used to have because he used to have the Wolf Helm of Russ, and that gave everybody like models in that unit have a leadership characteristic of 5 plus, so easier to do leadership tests. But I do still like his Slayer Oath. I still think that's gonna be really helpful to have. And then yeah, the Oathbound here is also kind of interesting because then you could add one to hit rolls. So and depending on like if it has the Slayer's Oath, you can add one to the rune roll as well. So you can add like 2 attacks and everything like that. And I think that's still really helpful to have.
Yeah, his fucking melee weapon having 4 anti-monster 4-up and anti-vehicle 4-up really helps also completing your saga sub goals. So good
Mm-hmm.
synergy all around. Who's that gentleman in the bottom right? Was that the
That is
old Stormcaller model?
yeah, that was the last Stormcaller model.
Wow, what a glow up on that. What a
Oh,
glow
big
up.
time.
Dude, GW artists be going ham.
Oh yeah, especially for the Space Wolves.
Yeah, I like the red runes in the staff. I don't know if those runes are still present, but I like them
I,
being red and painted like that.
I think they might be able to. It's kind of hard to tell with the images that we see here, but I think it can.
Guys, Bjorn made it. He
Bjorn the
lives.
Fell-Handed, he actually pulled through. I was really nervous that he wasn't because he's an old dread, and they've been trying to
Bro, they
really
couldn't
purge
do
out
that, bro,
all the
dude.
old
The
dreads.
fucking Space Wolf players would actually bomb GW headquarters, bro.
I mean, you're not wrong, but it was still in the back of my mind.
Oh.
So right off the bat, again, you'll notice this as we go on throughout the video, has lost a lot of like not a lot of his range, but you know what? Yeah, a lot of his range because like it doesn't have he doesn't have as much as he used to have here. because there used to be like the plasma cannons and the twin las cannons, and now that's not really here and available anymore. Again, still one of the best models in the game in the Space Wolf range. Changed my mind. You cannot try, but I still think it's really fun to have and to bring him along here. I believe he still has, yeah, he still has his feel no pain, which is still gonna be really helpful for people.
Feel no pain on a dread? That's crazy.
Yep, yep,
Wow, it's gonna take a lot
and
to get this guy. Bro's got the cum gun, bro. Hellfrost cannon, either like D6 shots at 12, or Bro's got the focused goo blaster, one shot, strength 10, EP minus 3, 5 damage. Oof. That's a fucking, that's a herder.
oh yeah, no, it'll put the hurt on them. But I still think again, it's really helpful, and of course, he has that ability to just give you like one extra command point as long as he's on the board.
Hmm.
So I think that's gonna be really helpful to have as well if you just again really need like to get command points. If you're the kind of player who spends them.
Holy shit, is that the guy from fucking, oh my god, I was gonna do a bit here, but I forgot it. What the fuck's that mobile game? The 40K
Which
mobile Tacticus or whatever?
yeah, Tacticus.
Is that the
Yes,
guy
yes,
from
that
the?
is.
Is that the guy from fucking Tacticus?
I thought you were gonna say, is he the guy from Fortnite?
No, God no.
Whatever. Anyways, then there's Ragnar Blackmane. Ragnar Blackmane kept the names of his abilities, but added a little bit of spice, as I kind of said here. So the Warhowl got like a little bit of a buff. The original one was while this model is leading a unit, that unit is eligible to declare a charge on a turn in which it advanced. But now it's like that for the Blood Claws, like unit. Each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, you can re-roll that wound roll, and then if you were taking the Headhunters or Head Takers, that's where the ability comes in back in again. But I like the idea that you can reroll wound rolls if you're taking like certain things. And then the Battle Lust, I believe that's still the same. Yeah, that's still the same thing. But I still really like it. I still think it's really fun to have something like that. And I'm interested to really see like how players want to run with him, whether or not they're gonna run with him still with the Wolfguard Head Takers, or if they're gonna like run with him with the Blood Claws. Because I think it could be fun to run with him with Blood Claws, because each time a model that unit makes a melee attack, you can reroll like the wound rolls, and I feel like that can be like really helpful for for again for if you're running a 10-man squad, you're rerolling like all the wound rolls for melee units there, and I think that can be helpful for if you're really just trying to take out multiple units.
Absolutely. AJ spitting. He knows his Space Marines.
Sure, sure.
The fuck do you mean he's got a hammer with a scope?
You got a hammer with a scope.
Where's the scope?
The scope is in the eye of the beholder.
Holy shit, dude, that thing's got precision? Wow.
That's what I meant.
Wow. Wow. Precision. Holy shit, this guy's a fucking truck.
Yes. So, our Jack here, he has his range is a bit like the same. It's a little bit, yeah, no, it's about the same. So it's only one attack, obviously, but strength 8. First off, right off the bat, he now doesn't just have anti-monster, but he has anti-vehicle, and has the assault keyword. So now you can do this to all the anti-monsters and to the vehicles as well, which is nice for his range. And same thing with melee here, anti-vehicle, anti-monster. But then you get the bonus here of precision for his melee, which I think is again really nice to have. I'm trying to think like, and I talked to Jordan about this before the show. I'm trying to think of stuff like weapons that do like melee weapons that do have precision. Because
Not a
most of the time,
lot.
whenever I see,
Because most
yeah,
of the time you just besides the Lord of Execution,
mm-hmm.
that's I don't have much that comes because most of the time you pop what is a heroic duel whatever to give your character the precision keyword. So having that baked in is really nice for Lord sniping.
Oh, big time, big time.
So I'm pretty sure that pretty sure Typhus is what T7 like that. You're still
Yeah,
wounding on threes against Typhus, which is pretty fucking gross.
absolutely. And his abilities are mostly the same. He does have like the again the Hellblaster ability, as I call it, where if your characters didn't attack on a 4+, if your characters didn't attack, went down on a 4+, you can roll, and then on that 4+, you can bring them back. Which I kind of like that they're baking this into some of the units. So I find it kind of neat. Now we go on to the Wolf Priest. There's not much to say that has probably already been said about
This
the Wolf
thing's
Priest
fucking
because
busted, bro.
yeah, you can take the lead there, Jordan. There's not much I can
I
add other
I
than
got
it's
nothing to
fucking
say,
awesome.
bro. I'm pretty sure the fucking Death Guard Plague Marines got to roll a dice, right?
I mean,
I
yes,
don't.
of
This thing's
course.
just fucking busted, bro. You get
I
you get to bring back models in your command phase, and it's just for the entire group. You just get an extra +1 to wound. Like holy shit, this thing is nutty.
Oh, big time.
This thing's fucking nutty, bro.
Hmm.
That's just I would be very interested to see the points cost on this. Uh, it'll probably be sitting around in the 60s or no, probably like 80s if it's at 100. Wouldn't be surprised. Probably no way it's 100. Probably like 60 through 90 points. But this thing's fucking great. This is an auto include, bro. This this thing is an auto include.
Oh, I agree with you 100%.
Uh,
Now we go on to the Iron Priest here. The Iron Priest is mostly the same. You get slightly better shooting. So originally, like you roll D3 for just your dispersed shot. Now it's D6. You still get torrent and everything like that, and you get a little bit of a strength boost there. So that's kind of nice. Your focus one is still the same as it was before. Melee now. Melee is just kind of baked into like each other because originally he had two different melees, but one of them had extra attacks. Now they're just one thing together. So you are getting four attacks now for instead of one with one attack, one with three attacks. So that's kind of nice. And then, as I put on there, there's no more vengeance. There's just judging. So one of his abilities got renamed. So instead of the vengeance of the Omnissiah, it is the judgment of the Omnissiah. Originally, if it was a friendly, if a friendly Astartes mod or vehicle is destroyed within 12 inches of this model until the end of the battle, the model's melee has an attacks characteristic of 6. The judgment one, let's see here. Each time a model makes an attack that targets an enemy within engagement range of one of your friendly Astartes vehicles, you can reroll the wound rolls. So I think that's kind of helpful, and I think it could be really fun to have. So I think that could be nice.
I think giving rapid fire one to all your vehicles is kind of nutty.
A little bit nutty, a little bit nutty.
Yeah, this is I mean it's the standard tech price D3 wounds, but giving rapid fire, Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
good support. It does not have stealth or it does not have lone op keyword like the Mechanicus one, I believe, or whichever one the guard players run. So this can still get sniped
Oh
by
yeah, big time.
indirect blast shit, and with a 2-up save 4 wound, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
New hero? I didn't see this on I didn't see this on Wapedia or anything like that. AJ could talk more about this because I actually know nothing about because is this not just a Blade Guard captain reskin?
It's
Or am I just
sort of
smoking
like a
crack
Blade
here?
Guard captain. What?
I said, is this just a Blade Guard captain but for Space Wolves, or am I smoking crack? Is what I
No, no,
said.
no. That's about right. I mean, in general, like that's kind of what this is. This is just their unique captain variant that they have now. So, instead of just having generic captain, you can have the Wolfgar battle leader.
Bro, it sounds like your
So I think
computer's taking off in the background, bro.
I apologize. I
Holy
apologize.
shit, bro.
But Otherwise, I think he's a fun unit to have. Like, I think it's gonna be nice to have that he can lead, like, all these different, like, special, like, Space Wolves units here. And on top of that, he has temporal, like, ferocity there. So getting everybody, like, sustained hits within 6 inch. And if there's, like if the unit is makes an attack and targets an enemy within 6 inches, you can re-roll any hit rolls of one. So making sure that you can always like get up there and try to succeed in your hits is very nice. Plus, again, if you equip it with the storm shield, you get an extra bonus of wound rolls. You get instead of 5, you get 6. Again, I think it's a little bit fun to have.
Yeah, it's giving sustain hits for both the
Yes.
ranged and the melee weapons is pretty nasty. And then shooting units within 6 inches, you get reroll hits of one. Just lots of rerolls, a lot of extra attacks. Just good shit. AJ, you want to walk us through the blood claws?
Yeah, sure. So, Blood Claws and Grey Hunters are previous units that are now getting refreshed. The Blood Claws and Grey Hunters lost their shooting, so originally they had more available shooting. They had bolt guns, plasma guns, meltas, grav guns, stuff like that.
Oh, these just look like
Now,
raptors for chaos, right? Because these guys just have bolt guns and melee.
no, they're kind of like the Assault Intercessors,
Okay. No, I was talking about for
like for
CSM. You have like
oh
CSM
yeah, for
dudes that.
CSM, yes,
Yeah,
they are
sorry.
like they're kind of
You gotta
they now
explain this to me in chaos terms, dude. I don't know any of this fucking corpse emperor worshipping bullshit. The fuck's a? I see a bull pistor. I see a chainsword. Those are raptors or whatever the fuck they're called.
Raptors can also have flamers, so you tried your very best
I
to get a
tried.
good reference in there.
If it's not green and has T6, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
That's very true. But otherwise though, I mean, I think these units are a little bit fun. The Blood Claws got a more simple version of the Berserker charge. So the Berserker charge is now just like, this unit is eligible to declare a charge and a turn in which it advanced. So that, that's pretty simple. Angry Hunter's got that fun reroll there. So, like, each time a model in this unit makes an attack, you can reroll a wound roll of one. If that target is within range of an objective marker, you can reroll the whole wound roll. And I think I think that's very fun. But yeah, this is strictly just, hey, get in there with these, like, special units here and just, like, cause as much melee damage as you can. If you guys are wondering, like, hey, what is the comparison here? Just think if you've ever had an assault intercessor, you've ever fought an assault intercessor, this is just what it is. Except without the thunder hammer. There's no thunder hammer.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, grenade players start
Um,
crying.
AJ, keep going, man. This is all you, big boy.
All right, all right. Then finally is just the Wolfguard head takers. They're essentially a tougher inner circle companions. There is two variants. There's the Wolfguard head takers and the hunting wolves. You pick this up essentially like at the beginning of your turn. So then you can decide whether or not you want to have your head takers become or your head takers become wolf hunters or hunting wolves there. But if you decide on like having them be headhunters, the head taker models in this unit have the devastating wounds and precision abilities while targeting a quarry. Each time that quarry is destroyed, select one of the enemy units in that unit's quarry. Uh but if you want to do hunting wolves, now you're starting with a new strength and accordingly, so you're getting more strength for that. And you're doing like you're having much faster movement there, and you're having just a little bit of a stronger like hit for everything. Because if I'm right here at the declare the battle step, split this attack into two units, one containing the head talkers models and one containing all of its hunting wolves models, with the new starting strength accordingly. Yeah, so the wolves here, the hunting wolves there, are going to be chosen. They're just going to be doing the teeth and claws there, and just trying to send them out there and do as much damage as you can, while having the Wolfguard head takers just try your best to follow them up. Again, I compare these to the Inner Circle companions, and just saying that they're tougher because you're having better movement and you're having just in general like a little bit more fun abilities, having devastating wounds and precision. So I use that for like the special Oath moment. Plus, you can give them the storm shields, and then they become more like Blade Guard units, where they get the 4+ Invul save.
Seems like you bring a fuck ton of wolves too with this.
Oh yeah, that's
You
the whole name of this
bring
game.
6 wolves, you get 18 hitting on fours, strength fours, one. Throw these guys at some fucking cultists and they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Thunderwolf Cavalry. Essentially they just get two additional movement and ferocious charges, not thunderous charge. They got Robo Wolves.
They
Sick.
got the Robo Wolves.
Wolfguard Terminators. They actually lose quite a fucking bit. For one additional movement, they lose all access to their combis, cyclone launchers, or heavy flamers. They get no more chain fists, no more power weapons, no more thunder hammers or twin lightning claws. Yes, they have a relic great axe. Yes, they have twin lightning claws, but it's like, okay. The relic great axe is just a worse version of the thunder hammer. Yeah, it's got still dev wounds, 3 damage, whatever. Twin and lightning claws. Oh no, they
They
still
still have
have.
Twin Lightning
I just
Claws.
can't fucking read. Must spread
No.
misinformation. I need to
Oof.
die. Um, I just you get to subtract uh, worsen wounds for attacks that are greater than their toughness. So melt is hitting on fours. Any weird anti. I think the Avenger Chain autocannon from the Wardog Brigand is strength. What? Let's find out together. Uh, yeah, so like any strength 6 stuff would still be hitting on fours, so making them a little bit more durable. Fenrisian Wolves. Shibie, Shibia, fa la la la. It's literally the same thing. They just don't get to declare a charge in the turn that they advanced. They got some new instinct stuff. They can, um, if an enemy unit ends within 9 inches of it, it just gets to make a normal move up to D6. So you roll a D6 and you get to move. Um, Pretty standard stuff. They get OC bonuses too. Um, AJ, if you want to talk about this.
Yeah, sure. The Wolfen now are like up ahead here. Wolfen originally had a Feel No Pain. They lost that Feel No Pain. Um, which is a little disappointing. I feel like that would have been helpful for them because the standard Wolfen, are quite like I don't want to say punchy, but now they just don't have anything to cover them for it. But what can you expect? Like, because this is just something that just happens on occasion here. But otherwise, though, the Wolfen in general like lost Death Frenzy as well. Death Frenzy was something that was just an overall unit ability that they had. Because it was kind of, again, think Hellblasters. Whenever I say Hellblasters ability, on a 4+, do not remove it from play. If it was destroyed, you can always just fight back with it. You can't do that really anymore with this. But I think in general, Wolfen are just kind of in that weird place where not a lot of people want to run them. But it'll be interesting to see like how they're going to be treated throughout the rest of the edition here, and how players see it, because now that there's technically two different variations of the Wolfen, because there's the Wolfen without the Storm Shields, and then the Wolfen with the Storm Shields. And the Wolfen with the Storm Shields do have a different ability called the Hammer Blow, which does do more damage to monsters and vehicles. And then if it's suppressed, or while this unit is suppressed, you can subtract 1 from that hit roll. So I think kind of nice, and I think it's kind of interesting to see how Wolfen are going to be treated throughout this edition. Just because they used to have that feel no pain, even if it was a 6 up feel no pain, it had that feel no pain.
Sounds pretty
Then
oh,
yeah, no worries. But no, it's about as standard as it's gonna be. Then next is Murder Fang and the Wolfen Dread. Murder Fang got a new Murder Maker ability. Also, again, this is the final, has the Hellblaster ability for Wolfen, but that is essentially what it is. That if the Wolfen didn't attack that turn, and they are downed, you can bring them back up for 1 turn to do melee if you roll a 4 up. And Murder Maker is slightly different from this, or actually is essentially that. So it's very interesting to see that they kept the same name, even though it's a new ability. The Wolf and Dread is a little bit more hitty with melee, so it does hit more than it originally did. Like everything's up 1 or 2 extra hits there, so like the 6s were 5s, and the 12 attack for the Great Axe Sweep was a 10, so it's nice to see that that happened. The Bestial Rage got changed up a little bit, and they also got a new and that's like essentially the new ability there. Uh, Overall, I think the Wolf and Dreadnought is decent, and I think it might have a bit more legs to stand on. It just really depends on what the point value is going to be for this.
yeah. So equipping blazing shields for a war gear, giving that dread of 4 up invul, pretty nice.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's very nice to have, but again, like that's your question though of do you want to replace that with like what do you want to get rid of to have that 4+ info save?
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then on to the venerable dreadnought. What a cool model. Just a fucking
Oh, big time.
sick ass fucking model, bro. So sick, bro.
Mm-hmm. Again, like as we've kind of gone over here, it's a little less shooty, doesn't have as much variety that it used to have, but it does have a better wisdom of ancients than what it previously had. Jordan, you want to read what the better or the wisdom of ancients is?
Is that in the abilities? Is that the
Yes.
favor of the ancients? While friendly
Hmm.
Space Wolves units within 6 inches of this model add 1 to the advanced charge rolls made for that unit. Good heavens.
Yeah,
More
that's
shimmying,
that's
more
next.
eyeing,
Like,
more movement, bro. That is insane.
absolutely.
It,
Otherwise, though, I mean, the
yeah, it's
venerable
just
dread
it's
is
just
still
interesting
a
that they've stripped a lot of the shooting off. This is very much a melee focused army.
oh big time. This is definitely was like the main focus of this was to make this a very strong melee like army. And I think they reflected it pretty well. It'll be interesting to see though how this plays out overall with people because a lot of like the Space Wolves specific units just do not have a whole lot of good shooting on them.
Yeah,
So you're going to be
it'll be interesting to see Space Wolves into a shooting army because there is sort of a meta comment that a lot of 40k is just a shooting game and melee armies are kind of hit or miss depending on what they do. Because I mean, there's a lot that makes the World Eaters good, but like the surge movement kind of stuff really helps them like close the gap. And I don't see a lot of gap closers that in this army list that isn't from stratagems. So this seems to be a very CP command point, move to where you want to go, charge, get in. Um, it's just gonna be interesting to see how much shit they can shrug off. Seems like the dreadnoughts will have 4 up feel no pain or 4 up involves. Um,
right.
but it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the army shrugs off just all of the fucking shooty that there is in 40k.
But yeah, essentially that is it though. Otherwise,
Yeah,
for the
that's
for
worth
the
it.
league,
Ah,
Jordan, do you have any like final thoughts you want to add
this
onto
shit,
this
this shit
before?
was sick. If I had disposable income, I may or may not have thought about. I don't maybe not buy a Space Wolf army, but I think it looks fun. The saga stuff's thematic. It's really fun. I think this shit's way better than your fucking Dark Angels, but we can argue about that on a different fucking day. But no,
No,
this is
they're
solid. Great leaks. They didn't get the Adeptus Sororitas treatment, so Space Wolf players are probably uh, thankful for that. That's all I have to say.
yeah, and I kind of agree with you on a lot of those points. Other than the Dark Angels points, you're wrong.
Dark
I
Angels
will
suck.
say though, I am so jealous about like how some of these models look, because like some of these, like the Wolf Priest,
Yeah,
Logan
just
Grimnar,
like
just
holy
look
fuck, bro.
beautiful.
Yeah,
Just
Wolf
beautiful.
Priest looks fucking sick, dude.
Oh yeah, big time.
People are gonna be looking for that STL, bro, for that Hella head so badly.
You are absolutely correct.
All right.
And I'm getting mad. And again, I find it very interesting that like some of these abilities just got like wholesale ripped off from like Hellblasters there, because everything can come back now for melee attacks as long as you get above a 4 up. So it's very interesting that like that's been gifted to a lot of units here, because in the standard like Space
Well,
Marine Codex,
I guess that's the comp for so when they get shot off the board, they can stand the fuck back up. I guess that's
yeah,
the
but
answer instead of like surge movement. They're
yeah, but like that's the thing where the issue comes in though. A lot of these are just like specifically if they down in melee.
hmm
So I'm curious about whether or not they'll actually like keep it like that, or if they'll just like kind of change up the wording eventually to improve that it's just even more like Hellblasters. But I'm curious to see how it goes with that. And again, it's interesting to see that it's on multiple different models.
that is true. Don't forget,
Mm-hmm.
guys. Space Wolf pre-orders are on Sunday. Uh,
Yeah.
and AJ, thanks for tagging along tonight. I know it was a bit of a slog putting this all together. Thank you for everyone who's watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye bye.